Myles Garrett says he wants to be on the move. And in a statement, this is what Myles Garrett had to say about requesting a trade from the Cleveland Browns. As a kid dreaming of the NFL, all I focused on was the ultimate goal of winning a Super Bowl, and that goal fuels me today more than ever. My love for the community of Northeast Ohio and the incredible fan base of the Cleveland Browns has made this one of the toughest decisions of my life. These past 8 years have shaped me into the man I am today. While I love calling this city my home, my desire to win and compete on the biggest stages won't allow me to be complacent. The goal was never to go from Cleveland to Canton. It has always been to compete for and win a Super Bowl. With that in mind, I have requested to be traded from the Cleveland Browns. Now, that little Cleveland to Canton was what his GM in the end-of-season press conference said, Andrew Berry. He said that's what he sees Myles Garrett's career ending up to be. Going his entire career playing with Cleveland and then ending up in Canton, Ohio as a Pro Football Hall of Famer. But now, Myles Garrett wants out. So here's my question to you. Are you surprised that Garrett would want out of Cleveland after, a bunch of ups and downs and only 2 playoff appearances in 8 seasons?
No, I'm not surprised. I think he's feeling his oats. He made this announcement after the Luka Davis trade. He said it came out Monday morning. So I don't know. Maybe he's feeling, hey, you know what? That can happen to Luka Doncic. It can happen to me too. He said he requested the trade because he wants to win a Super Bowl and compete on a bigger stage. And who can blame him? I mean, look how bad the Browns have been. Says he's tired of losing and wants to join a team with a better chance of winning. 8 years with the Browns. He's 29 years old, one of the best players in the NFL. Second in sacks last year with 14.5. Let's see. He was 6th in pass rush win rate at 21.5%. Perhaps he was inspired, as I said, by the Doncic Davis trade, as his post to requesting the trade came on Monday. Teams generally willing to spend big money on a trade or a trade premium includes premium picks to land a top edge rusher like him. The Browns say they have no intention of trading Garrett, although they will likely receive attractive offers, I would think. Multiple first-round picks or picks and a young star on a rookie deal. Who might he go to? I'd say the Packers would be a prime location for him. They're a piece or two away from the Super Bowl. They badly need to improve their pass rush. I would think Garrett would be happy to go there because the Packers have done well the last couple of years. Jordan Love is a young, up on the rise quarterback. Packers have good coaching, a good organization. The Patriots need a better pass rush and have a most cap space in the 4th round pick. The Browns would have both the 2nd and the 4th round pick if they did a deal with the Patriots, but I'm not so sure Garrett wanted to go there because the Patriots' record last year were only, would they win 4 games? 4 games. 4
and 13.
4 and 13. So who knows? I'm not so sure you want to go there. The Broncos, they're expected to be aggressive on the postseason, and Garrett could take that defense to an elite level. The Commanders, Garrett would be the perfect addition to take their defense up a notch and help support the elite offense that has Jaden Daniels now. So there's going to be plenty of interest if Myles Garrett is put on the trading block. I'm sure the Browns are going to try to talk him out of it, say they're going to, fix the quarterback situation there, get the offense going again. But if I were him, I would say I've had enough.
And I completely agree with you. I'm completely on Myles Garrett's. I'm on Myles Garrett's side 100%. At this point, who wouldn't want to be traded away from Cleveland? Their general manager seems to, kind of want to force Myles Garrett to stay there. Meanwhile, he was a major part in why the Browns are what they are today. Because you went behind Baker Mayfield's back, and the season prior, he played with a shoulder injury and a torn labrum. But he played through it basically the entire season. So maybe that was a bad idea to be like, okay, well, that's you now, Baker Mayfield. That's your career. That's how it's going to, that's how we project your career to be. Meanwhile, he was playing hurt the entire year. And obviously, it hindered his production. And that's why he bounced around to 2 other places before landing in Tampa Bay and making them a back-to-back playoff team and also throwing for 4,000 yards each season. So maybe you should have kept around Baker Mayfield, who actually led you to your first playoff appearance in several years after you were just 1-15 and then 0-16 he allowed you to be around a 500 record in one of his first years there. So maybe you shouldn't have gotten off of him. But yeah, for me, no. I think Myles Garrett's going to be out. Now the question is when. It will obviously not be soon, and it'll be after June 1st, because that's when you could break up the dead cap money in a more reasonable number. I think you'll be spending around $40 million in dead cap, and then you could break up that $40 million, I think 16 and 24 in this year and the next year. So you could break it off, nicely after June 1st. So regardless of what happens, this will be, if he does get traded, it won't be soon. It'll be after June 1st, just to help out the Cleveland Browns a little bit. But we have to realize the only reason we're in this situation is because the Browns made an impulse decision to go out and get Deshaun Watson. If we're going to blame one guy, I know I just ripped on Andrew Berry a little bit, but if we're going to rip on one guy, it's Deshaun Watson, because he's the reason why we're here. The Browns somehow were convinced that Watson's worth $230 million fully guaranteed on probably the stupidest contract in NFL history, because he was just coming off of a major scandal off the field, and he sits out, he gets suspended for the first 11 games, and I'll give a lot of credit to Jacoby Brissett. He kept that team relatively alive and even had an upset win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady during those 11 games. And then Deshaun Watson comes in and he kind of craps the bed, and he's been doing that ever since he came over to the Cleveland Browns, and he led the Browns to one of the worst offenses in NFL history as the quarterback of the Browns. And by the way, what's even crazy is no veteran quarterback had cost 3 first-round picks since 1976. Enter Deshaun Watson. I mean, this is ridiculous. And if I'm going to actually put some positive on the Cleveland Browns, I understand you need a quarterback because Watson's probably going to be out of the entirety of 2025 due to re-injuring his Achilles injury. You have the second overall pick, which you can go out and get a guy that you said that the Patriots should draft in, Abdul Carter, Penn State. So you have another phenomenal edge rusher, pass rusher to replace Myles Garrett if you decide to get off him, which I think you should. Because even though, Myles Garrett's getting up there in age, he still has had 16, 14, and 14 sacks in 3 straight seasons. Actually, let's break it. Let's even go back farther. The last 4 seasons, 16, 16, 14, 14. The guy's a sack machine. He has the most sacks since 2022, and there's only 2 players that have 100 sacks since 2017. One of them is Nick Bosa. The other one is Myles Garrett. So Myles Garrett can still get you a very, very nice piece. I don't think you'll get what Khalil Mack or Jalen Ramsey got because those guys were a little bit younger. But if we're going strictly off production, I would say the Commanders will be a great pickup. I would say the Detroit Lions, you have a bunch of coordinator moves. You have the cap space. You have maybe some even capital that you can move for Myles Garrett. But if you're worried about the coordinators not, designing the right plays or not, keeping your defense the way it was, then get some playmakers. Aiden Hutchinson, Myles Garrett. Mm-hmm. You pair those two up, and it'll be a beautiful pass rush.
I like the idea of Abdul Carter, but I would trade Garrett to the Patriots, get that number 4 pick, take Shedeur Sanders at number 2, and then hope that Carter is there at number 4. Then you have a situation like the Texans did when they drafted C.J. Stroud and then took Will Anderson right after him. And look what it did for them, right? They got the winner on offense and the winner on defense. You could do the same thing with the Browns. 2 brand new, young, hungry players on rookie contracts for the next 4 years. Look pretty good to me. I'd say.
Well, the only issue is the Patriots are not going to be competing for a Super Bowl anytime soon. And
I don't know. You look at maybe not. Maybe in 3 years. Maybe in 3 years, 2 or 3 years. I mean, they brought back Josh McDaniel. They have Mike Vrabel now. They brought in a new offensive line coach. They're going to try to. They've got the most cap space in the NFL this year.
That's true.
So, and they have high draft picks there. So if they could get Myles Garrett and they could convince him, look, we're going to turn this around. We've got the money and the brain trust and the coaching staff to do it, and we have one of the elite rookie quarterbacks from last year. Hey, they could make a pretty good case for him. The Browns would be happy to do it. I think if they could get the number 4 pick.
I'm going to throw this team out here, and I saw it in a couple of places, but I just want to see what your reaction is because this GM has made some crazy moves and somehow could afford everybody. And that's Howie Roseman of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Wow. Myles Garrett to the Eagles would be...
Jalen Carter, Myles Garrett. I mean...
Wow.
The Kobe Dean, you might sign
The
Zach
Eagles
Bond
already
back.
have the number one defense in the league.
Correct, and they have a ferocious
But
pass
who would
rush.
they give up? Who would they have to give up? Somebody really good.
You would obviously give up a first-round pick. I think that.
But their first round pick might be the last pick in the draft, last pick in the first
we
round.
realize that Myles Garrett is 29 years old, so he's starting to I mean, the production is still there. Believe me, this is not anywhere close to a negative rip on Myles Garrett. But he is older than Khalil Mack when the chart, or what was it? I think it was the Browns, or sorry, the Bears made their move from the Raiders. He was, I think, 27 years old. Jalen Ramsey was younger at the time. He was 26 to 25. So these moves are for much younger guys. So would this 29 years old really crush what Myles Garrett could be worth instead of maybe 2 or 3 first-round picks? You could do it for a 1, a 2, and a player, maybe, instead of 2 or 3 first-round picks. I think you could open up with that, which then allows some of these teams that don't have tremendous players you could throw in the draft capital, or be the Eagles, their defense. You can look at every single phase, the defensive line, linebackers, defensive backs, and you can really just pick apart each player, be like, okay, we can give you're good, and then just save maybe a second-round pick and replace it with a player instead.
I'd say the Browns, so you definitely want to hang on to that second pick. They can get Shedeur Sanders, and then they need another high pick to replace Garrett. Or
there's no way you're getting 2 top 5 picks.
I don't know.
Way.
I think the Patriots should look at that deal. If they could get a deal, he might. I don't know. He might be okay going there. The Patriots have a winning history. Right? They have an owner. They have an owner that wants to get it done in the worst way now. He's recruited a top flight head coach. He's brought back a top flight offensive coordinator. Who did they get for their DC? They got a new DC too. They just cleaned house there.
Of course,
they have a new offensive line coach who's one of the best. So, and they've got all the cap space. They're going to be bringing in a lot of players. You
would hope so.
They have they got good draft picks. So, and they have a chance to get Myles Garrett.
Their DC's Terrell Williams, who was the Lions' defensive line coach.
Okay.
Well, here's what I'll say. Once again, let's bring up the quote again. Just the second half of the quote. He wants to compete for a Super Bowl. A Super Bowl. The Patriots are not going to a Super Bowl, let alone the playoffs, in several years. Because think about it. Gerard Mayo said at the beginning of last offseason when he first got hired that they have money to burn. They didn't make really any massive moves. In fact, they made moves that were very detrimental to their own team. Because the offensive line was basically Band-Aids. That's all it was. It was pick-apart guys. Let's move you here. Let's move you here. We'll pick a guy off the street here. We'll replace you here. I mean, the Patriots' offensive line was by far the worst in the NFL, and I said this all the time, but unless you're a diehard Patriots fan, the only guy that you can name on the Patriots' offensive line is Mike Owenu. That's the only guy. Because everybody was just a pick-apart guy.
Well, David Andrews got hurt.
He got hurt. But he got hurt towards the beginning of the season anyway. So the guys who were out there were a bunch of nobodies. And then think about this. Their defense regressed massively. They were the number 7 defense when they went 4-13, not this year, the year prior. Now they were I think they were 21 or something like that in the league. So
it did regress, but with Mike Vrabel there, it will be better.
You would hope so. That's and also
if they have Myles Garrett, it will be a lot better.
But Myles Garrett is going to go.
I like Myles Garrett going to the Patriots. That's my team.
Of course you do. You're in a Patriots sweatshirt here. Nah, Myles Garrett's going to want to go to a winner. So the Commanders, they just made the NFC Championship game with a rookie quarterback. The Lions, they were massive disappointments in the playoffs, but they also were the most injured team in the NFL this season.
The Packers,
the Philadelphia Eagles are about to play a Super Bowl against Kansas City Chiefs. The Packers made the playoffs, but they were down to their wide receiver 3. And honestly, the Eagles let them be in that game because of poor third down calls until late in the game, obviously, and then the score is 22-10. So maybe those teams, but I'm probably looking at either the Detroit Lions, who have the cap space, or and also the capital, or the Washington Commanders. Who they may lose Bobby Wagner if he decides to retire. And in that case, you're going to need someone to retire. I mean, I would agree. I would tend to agree with you.
He's not going to retire.
I would agree with you.
He had a great season.
But he's aging.
And he loves Dan Quinn, and Dan Quinn loves him. I think that those those two guys have a lot of history together. So I don't think Bobby Wagner's going to leave. He's a leader for that team.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for watching this clip of the Harvey Hour. If you want to watch the full show, you can by clicking the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to take the show with you on the go, it is available wherever you get your podcast. We go live here on YouTube every single Tuesday and Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, and the notification bell to get notified whenever we upload a video and whenever we go live.